We'll have a look at that. The fans at the Olympic Stadium are treated to the Mercedes from 2013, so a bit of grunt, bit of noise there.
Lovely bit of V8. I was very lucky. I drove maybe that particular car at Goodwood a couple of years ago. It actually was Michael Schumacher's last car that he drove in Formula One, so it could be the very same thing.
And Michael Schumacher obviously partnered with Sebastian Vettel to great effect at the Race of Champions. Vettel is going to be in the first semi-final up against David Coulthard.
Yeah.
Who's your winner?
I've got to go with Seb. I think Seb seems to have a very, very good confidence going into this race.
OK, well, talking of Mercedes, we can hear from Toto Wolff. He's with Craig Slater.
Well, we heard from Susie Wolff a little bit earlier. Let's speak to Mr. Wolff. Susie has brought down the curtain on her motor racing career, but how proud are you as her husband with what she's achieved?
I am super proud. I can see the effort that was behind it. As a tiny little blonde driving that car physically and mentally, and then the pressure you have, because if you don't have the mileage and then you're being put into an FP1 practice and people look at you and expect you to be somewhere close, and then really being able to just go there and be a couple of tenths off the boys who are in the car all season is really, for me, a great achievement. I've seen her in all those years in DTM where she was fighting with B material for glory, very difficult. So yeah, bittersweet that she's ending it, because I think that she has the pace and really have she could have shown in a race, but there is a commercial reality.
There's a bit of emotion in your voice, I think, as well, Toto, but she really has represented the sport with great dignity, and we all congratulate her, of course, as well. But you're heading towards the end of the motor racing season. It's been a great year again for Mercedes. You, as head of motorsport, must take enormous pride in all your achievements. But one last Formula One Grand Prix. If Nico Rosberg were to win it, would he be perhaps slight favourite in your mind heading into 2016 or not?
No, personally, I will never have any favorite between my two drivers. You need to, we will never understand why one is having the upper hand and not the other one. Lewis won the championship. Maybe that's an argument that the adrenaline wasn't as high anymore. But then Nico had fantastic races. So I'm really looking forward to 2016 and the fight between the two of them. Thank you.
Well, I wonder whether Coulthard was doing that, but he has got an issue with the car. It's not moved in a couple of minutes now, and the only thing it's doing now is just gradually
is it gone
getting
technical?
colder. I think it has gone technical, and you're absolutely right there. So he bails.
And the showman comes out as ever. He has a look at the back. He should probably kick a tyre, isn't that what you should do?
Well, either that or go for a pee against the barriers. That's the other thing that Formula One drivers do, isn't it?
That's dirty. How did you say that? He's going to run the race instead. That's excellent news. I think he's got a good shot at winning that if he's going to run it.
Different format. Oh, against Vettel, I'm not sure. Okay, here we go.
No.
There we go.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Seb's not getting out of the car and going for that one, though. So we understand it's a transmission issue on the manual gearbox in the car. The transaxle has decided it's run out of gears.
Uh-oh, this could be danger. We saw Terry Grant earlier trying for that world record attempt of 17 in a car.
Yeah.
Just wondering how many he can fit in this car.
Well, Sebastian Vettel is not a man you want to take on in a running race. To keep up his fitness regime, he didn't take the bus in from the Shangri-La Hotel at the Shard, where they're staying in the heart of the City of London. He ran to the stadium.
No.
Oh, yes.
Are you serious?
Yep.
He ran?
Bob Wallach used to cycle from Belgium to Le Mans as part of his fitness routine.
Well,
on a
cycling,
bicycle.
yeah. I mean,
Belgium to Le Mans.
A bike takes a bit of the pressure if you're going to do that, but running in London?
Yeah, lots of people run in London.
Well, I know, we saw them the other day, didn't we?
It's not Queens, you know.
Whooping and hollering around here because they were all running around the Olympic track. It was cool. But I just didn't think he would be doing it. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, jogged in or ran in. Probably didn't jog, actually. Probably blew by everybody in the bus lane as well. So we're now going back to restart this and get... Well, let's catch up with Jason Plater. He's upstairs watching the action with Azifani.
Jason, you just told me to be gentle with you, so you don't want me to mention that you're the only one that's done a jump start this whole weekend?
Oh, thank you very much. Do you know what? Yeah, I no excuse. I just wanted to try and find the bite point of the clutch, and it just bit me. I think I've run out of strength in my left leg. So yeah. But I was, you know, I thought I'd got back in the second one. It was only a 10th and a half or so, something like that. But Tom's a legend of our sport, and yes, it's about trying to win, but it's just a privilege to be here and to be part of this, and to get to, spend time with these iconic drivers and share a few stories, have a few beers, and then obviously when the helmet goes on, we get serious. But me and Andy had a fantastic day yesterday, and I've had a great day today. So big thank you to everyone at Racer Champions, to Frederick, to Jeff, Jesse, the whole team.
Thanks a lot, Jason.
You're very welcome.
David Coulthard having another KTM prepared for him. Looks like maybe the black one has been brought out for Sebastian Vettel, or just for a spare. Well, let's catch up with Alex Buncombe, who has booked himself a place in the semis.
Well, the man that knocked out Jason Plato is Le Mans legend Tom Christensen. He's just behind the camera, and you're up against him next. First of all, did you expect to make it this far? And second, can you beat TK?
Yeah, I mean, you've always got to believe in your own ability, but I thought it would be a long shot to get this far. Obviously, I'm well chuffed to get this far along, and to beat Andy there, was pretty cool. It was real close. It went to the tiebreaker at the end there, round 3, and there was like a 10th and a half in it, so it was really close. But yeah, up against Tom now, and he doesn't need any introductions. He's awesome guy, and it's, I'm going to have my work cut out. But I think we're in the Radicals, and we've both only ever been out in that car in the rain, so it's going to be tough. But it's a mega experience to be here.
And give us a sense what it's like to be a Brit and to be racing in the Olympic Stadium from 2012.
Great, obviously, to be out, the home stadium, here in London's mega, and thank you to everyone who's made it possible, and let's hope I can go a bit further. Obviously, the further into it you get, the harder the guys are, and yeah, this one's not going to be easy against Tom, so fingers crossed.
All the best, thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, he's in a great position, isn't he? Because he's just enjoying himself, like we heard from Bradley Philpott earlier. Living the dream, having a great time here with all these great drivers. And even Jason Plato, who, most British fans will know and recognise for his achievements and have right up there amongst the top Brits. He's going, it's Mick Dern and Sebastian Vettel and all these young guys and all these legends of the sport. It's a great opportunity just to have fun with them and against them. And it's, it is serious in the same way that when we go indoor karting, it's serious. You want to beat your friends. You don't want to be the last. You don't want to be second. You want to be first. But there is a great camaraderie here that you just can't find in any other competition. There's so many different elements come together.
See, lots of autograph signing going on. Felipe Massa down there signing away. These guys are used to doing that. Sebastian Vettel is now out on track. He is all over the shop. The passenger has gone from the car, so he's just in there on his own having a whale of a time. He will be in the black vehicle. And on the other side of the track, although he's trying to take out some of the barriers as we speak, just warming up in that crossbow. And we can see loads of smoke coming out from the tyres because David Coulthard is now on track. He will be in white, so it's black versus white, Germany versus Scotland, Coulthard versus Vettel.
Now, as I guessed, they were giving Sebastian Vettel a different car which had stone cold everything to match David Coulthard's car which had stone cold everything. No passengers, as you rightly pointed out, in either car, because giving Vettel the advantage of a hot car with at least moderate tyre temperatures against one that's just sat outside for the last hour for DC would not have been an even-handed battle. Understand it was a burnt-out clutch. Whether Coulthard burnt it out or whether it was on its way anyway is neither here nor there. They both have fit and healthy cars. The first of our semi-final encounters is underway. Sebastian Vettel versus David Coulthard for a place in the final.
Coulthard was off that line like lightning. Vettel a little sluggish, but Coulthard will need all the help he can get if he's to beat Sebastian Vettel man to man in this battle. Let's see where they are after the first full lap.
So he's learned how to pronounce his name correctly. It's Vettel, not Vettel, like the mineral water. But can he outdrive the four-time world champion? Sebastian Vettel up by 4/10 and change in that first lap.
Squealy, squeal, squeal around the top half of this circuit as he comes back round.
And David Coulthard needs an epic second lap to try and wrestle this first victory. And I don't think he's got enough. It looks to me like Vettel's got enough in hand unless he makes a mistake. A little bit of a slide, but not too much. He's going to be first to the line, not by much, but by enough. 1-0. Might as well lose by a second as by 100th. It still has the same effect. And Vettel pushing on now, sliding the car, trying to generate heat. So too is Coulthard. He's doing the big slidey sideways bits as they come to the line.
Vettel just holds it up, waits for Coulthard. This is like jousting, isn't it, as they come towards the line. Both of them psyching each other out, wanting to be the last one to stop, lose as little heat as they can from their tyres. So Sebastian Vettel, 1-0 up. Can Coulthard come back at him to level this off and take it into a decider?
So this is Germany versus Scotland for a place in the final. But this is no longer for national honours. This is David Coulthard trying to defend his title against a man who has never yet managed to win it. In fact, he has never progressed past the semi-final stage. Sebastian Vettel, he's 1-0 up against DC as they head, perhaps one of them will go through into the semis.
And it looks like Vettel is still ahead slightly. Difficult to tell as they come through the first half of the loop, but Vettel is putting the power down. He's sliding a lot, but it's a really nice fluid motion as he comes around, takes the long turn to the start-finish straight.
Oh, Coulthard with the advantage. Surely that was a fraction in front. It was 0.01. He must win. It must go 1-1 for DC to stand a chance of making the final for a second consecutive year. And was that a mistake by Vettel? In that tight right-hander on the inner loop, was that costing him more time than he can afford? We won't know until they get to the line again, but for my money, Coulthard has got this. This could go 1-1. DC out of his final corner, Vettel to the line. Coulthard's got it.
Yeah.
Coulthard's made it 1 each, and the crowd rise to their feet and respond. 1400ths of a second he beat him by. It's one race apiece, and now Vettel will come to the line in his favoured interior lane. But that didn't get him to the final in the Nations Cup. Will it get into the final in the Race of Champions?
Tell you what, Vettel is on banana power. I have it from a reliable source. He wanted a banana before this race began. He is using banana power to try and slip up his rival and take it to the end. You like that one?
I have no idea what on earth you're talking about.
He ate a banana before he got in the car.
I gathered that.
He is now Banana Man. Right, lights are on. This is the decider.
Coulthard loses. He's took the start, and that is Vettel into the final. And that is a really horrible way for it all to end for DC, trying to defend his title. Unless Vettel crashes, and given a 5.5 second advantage, he's not going to crash.
How disappointing for it to come down to that, just when we thought that it was going to go right down to the wire between Coulthard and Vettel. Coulthard just slipping out there, so yeah, the jump start has been confirmed. So Vettel just needs to keep it shiny side up, and he will go through to his first Race of Champions final.
Coulthard brushes the wall as he allows it to straighten the car up, almost like the Exeter Casino Square in Monaco. Rattle it along the barriers rather than apply any lock. But Coulthard with a 5.5 second penalty to try and undo. Now somebody's got to throw the skin of Sebastian Vettel's banana out underneath his front wheels for him to lose this. And a place in the final. He's never progressed beyond the semis. This year he will. He's never gone away from a race of champions without a trophy. And now he's given himself another opportunity to do so. Well, DC's start was the jump, but it was so tentative when he did get away that Sebastian Vettel was always going to win the race. Plus the 5.5
DC's
second
got off the
penalty.
track, so while Vettel's celebrating, DC's in the grass. I'm sure the pitchkeeper here will be delighted knowing that this is going to be West Ham United's place and residence next year. But after this event, it will close down here at the Olympic Park, and it will not open until the football moves into town next year.
I think there's a certain Hannah will be very pleased that Sebastian Vettel has gone through, judging by her banner. But DC, look at this. No lock applied, just allow the wall to straighten the car up.
63% of you called that race correct. Vettel did win it. Coulthard only 37% of you thinking that was going to happen. So congratulations to those of you who predicted that right on Twitter.
So our second semi-final to go into the final against Sebastian Vettel will be either Tom Christensen or Al Buncombe. Well, that one, I think, like this, is too close to call. I don't think you could have had Vettel or Coulthard as a hot favourite.
It was confusing to see.
You saw you were looking at
Yeah.
The second one was close though, I think.
Yeah, but I must have won the second one, no?
Yeah, you won the second one.
Oh well.
Oh well, he says.
I was convinced because the first lights went really quickly, so I was ready to go.
That's the trick about a racing start. You never know when the lights are going to go out, which is why you need reactions of dynamite so you can bang out of those blocks. And unfortunately, not to be for Coulthard.
He anticipated the lights, as he said in the first one. They went very quickly. So our second semi will be decided in the Radical SR3, this 250 horsepower lightweight sports car. British built, first time appearing in the Race of Champions. And it'll be Tom Christensen versus Alex Buncombe. Well, both are sports car racers, fittingly enough, aren't they? So let's see which one comes out on top. Buncombe, a GT champion this year in the Blancpain Endurance Series, run by Bob Neville and the RJN team, to victory in a final nail-biting conclusion of the Blancpain Endurance Series. And Tom Christensen, Mr. Le Mans.
Lights are going on. We are ready to race here at the Race of Champions.
Oh, and a bit of a transitory start from Al Buncombe. He went and it sort of did bite, so he immediately lost ground away from the line. It wasn't a jump start, but it was not fluid at all. But Christensen went off like he'd been fired off the deck of an aircraft carrier. Buncombe are going away from us, Christensen coming towards us, so it's Al Buncombe with the greater amount of orange on the top of his Radical SR3.
And Buncombe taking it around, so this is where we get a first gauge of the split time after one full lap in this pursuit style race.
Christensen,
and we can see
a better part of a second in front, 4 tenths nearly. So it's a bigger margin.
Yeah, Buncombe with work to do now after that start, which just gave away a little bit of the momentum to Christensen.
Start was clean, it just wasn't fast. It stuttered after the lights changed. And if you're not going forward, you're going backwards in this sport. Christensen with the lead at the line. And now, as they come again, Christensen has extended that lead a fraction. He wins Heat 1. And that means that Buncombe must win the next two to go into the final. 3600s up to half a second up. This passenger getting a good neck workout there as Tom's on and off the brakes, and the gas.
Yeah, we still haven't had a turnover in this section of the racing today, so Buncombe would be looking to fly in the face of the statistics, but if there's a man who can do it, Alex Buncombe is probably that man.
Well, now he knows what he has to do. He knew what he had to do when he came out. He had to win anyway because you can't give Christensen any chance. So the plan hasn't changed. However, he must make a better start this time, Al. Just a moment to compose himself.
That radical underneath him, remember, Buncombe in the more orange of the two cars on the inside line.
Christensen with a full face helmet for the first time. I don't think we've seen that so far this weekend. Launches very quickly indeed. On the outside lane, you sweep around the first two left-handers at speed, and then into the tight right as you get back to the line. There's Christensen, Al Buncombe on the outside lane now, but his lap finishes when he returns to the inside starting position.
Buncombe taking a fair bit of curb as he was coming around on the internal line, and you can see they just raced to the line. This is the first time, and Christensen has the lead. The advantage is still with the Danishman, so let's see what they can do in the second part of this.
0.3 of a second nearly in favour of Tom Christensen, and you sense that this is not going to go to a decider unless Buncombe produces some real magic. Christensen looks to have it under control. It was a mistake by Vettel that allowed Coulthard to even the first semi-final back up, but I think Christensen is going to nail this. 2-0, he comes to the line, just ahead of Al Buncombe, but enough to go through. So the Dane goes through with a 2-0 victory over Alex Buncombe. There are no British drivers in the final. It will be Vettel versus Christensen.
But it will still be a Super Saturday. Remember, in 2012, this was the venue where we saw so much gold at the London Olympics. Jessica Ennis-Hill, Mo Farah, Greg Rutherford, who joined us yesterday in our celebrity driving skills. So which one will it be, Christensen or Vettel?
Well, Johnny Herbert, we know our final. Sebastian Vettel, four-time world champion in Formula One, takes on the best racer that Le Mans has ever known, Dane Tom Christensen. Dane, like Dane from Denmark.
Very good, very good. Yes, exactly. Yes. Don't have fond memories of Tom at Le Mans. We raced together in different cars in 2000, 2002, 2003, 2004. I finished second. And that damn man won all three. So, but he's great. You know, he's a lovely, lovely guy. Got a great family as well. Loves his racing. Now an ambassador for Audi, but still loves his racing and still very, very competitive. Sebastian is going to have quite a bit on his hands with that Daimler racing.
He's going to have his work cut out. And Tom's lost in the final in 05, in 2011 and 2012 here at the Race of Champions. So he'll want to make amends for that. Seb has never won either, and he's been taking part for many years as well. A German has never won it at all. So, I mean, both will really be gunning for it today.
Yeah, and again, the man that you probably look at and probably say, right, who's the one who's really, 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 really focused on this? It's going to be Sebastian, isn't it? He's going to be absolutely wanting this big, big time. And I think that's great, because that will only make this final even bigger and better.
OK, well, let's hear what Craig Slater's got to say about it. He's over in the Olympic Stadium. How are you, Craig? Enjoying yourself, I'm sure?
I am good, and isn't it great we've got a final like this? People are calling it the ultimate final, an epic final, a real battle of the ages as well. It is. Sebastian Vettel's just through here chatting to one or two of the other drivers, but 20-year age gap between them two, isn't there? Tom Christensen 48, Sebastian Vettel 28, but as you say, different disciplines as well. 9-time Le Mans winner against a 4-time Formula One champion. You have to say, experience is what most of the drivers were saying to me ahead of this event this afternoon. They were saying that the more experience you have in this competition, the better it will count for you, and the laps that both of them banked yesterday seem to have given them some benefit today, although we have had consistently evolving conditions. I'm inside, but it's extremely cold outside now, so grip has been at a real premium, and these two have found their way through. They've found the right racing line, managed to stay on track. We've seen other drivers go awry, but yeah, we probably have, I don't think either of you would argue with this, probably the best two drivers over these 2 days in the final, and you can't ask for anything more than that, can you?
Absolutely not. No, it's going to be great. Now, I can tell you, Craig Slater, if it makes you feel any better, there's no heating at all in the studio. At all. Johnny's been cuddling me in the race to keep me warm. So how is this going to play out then? Johnny?
I've got no idea. I think this is going to be so tight, but I'm probably going to have to go with Sebastian because I think he is super hungry for this victory.
20 years his senior, Tom Christensen. I thought you would go for the old boy.
I'm only going to do it because, you know, I'm a little bit older than Tom, but the maturity that the man has got is absolutely fantastic. But again, just that young whippersnapper of a Sebastian Vettel, I think would just have that edge that he needs in a type of race like this. But we're going to have to wait and see exactly what car they have as well, because that's going to be pretty key as well.
That will be crucial. Which cars favour which drivers? Which car do you think Vettel would most like to drive?
Again, I think he'd like the buggy. I think that buggy, that drifting, that's something that seems to be very good. Tom's good as well with a drifty type of car, but I think it will definitely suit Sebastian more. And he'll probably know in him, he'll be trying to wangle it that he does get the buggy to make sure he can win it.
Well, let's hear from Sebastian Vettel now. He's with David Coulthard.
So,
Back of that, definitely.
So, David and Sebastian, that was a very exciting semi-final, and DC, you will not be defending your title this year.
Well, that's a shame, but I enjoyed myself. It was pretty close with Seb, but in the end he had that consistency, and that's the mark of a champion. So I'm going to retire to the bar, join the family, and watch what's going to be an epic final. We'll get two great champions in this final.
What's exciting for me, having done 11 Race of Champions, is I see Tom Christensen every year and I see you most years, and you get to race him in the final, and neither of you have done that before.
Yeah, so in any case, I guess we have a new winner. Very much looking forward to it. It was tough to get on top of David because he's very quick, but yeah, I think the secret was that he was partying yesterday until 4, and if he had partied until 5 a.m, then I think he'd be unbeatable, but I guess I just got lucky that he called it an early night.
All the best against Tom.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, well, Johnny, we're hearing it's going to be the Radicals that they'll be racing in the final.
Seems that way, doesn't it?
So, what do you think?
Well, they're a little bit more sort of together, a little bit like a mini go-kart in many respects. So they're going to be quite at home, both of them. Sports car, similar in a way, a lot of downforce that they create, especially at Le Mans. And then, of course, Sebastian in a Formula One car. They're going to be both very happy in many regards because they are going to be karts, and they've both been karters, both been successful at it. So the battle, I think, actually will be even more intense this time around because they know that they can really attack the track as well.
I'm hearing now that the ROC car will also be used in the final.
Oh,
so a change of vehicle as well.
Yes, they've done that in the past, and that's always a great thing because that at least enables them to have a bit of a mix and match. And that ROC car is exactly what Sebastian wanted as well, that little buggy.
Now, we all know how cold it is out there today, but what about the drying conditions of the track? They're changeable. Who's that going to suit?
I don't think it's probably going to favour one or the other. It's going to be just the man who is able to sort of adapt to the change of those conditions. If you do it on Tom's already used to that because in Le Mans you have those wet conditions day and night, and you have to learn how to adapt to that. And then you got Sebastian who has to do the same thing. So as far as an advantage goes, there isn't anything in it. It's just going to be on that time they're on the track to actually who can utilise what the changing conditions will allow them to do.
It really is such a special event, isn't it? Unique. You know, we're seeing this Le Mans legend take on an F1 legend. Where else in the world would you see this? Everybody is going to be on the edge of their seats.
Yeah, exactly. And they go, Tom is a man successful as he has been at Le Mans, and he's one of those few drivers that should have had a career in Formula One. He would have adapted and been a very good Formula One driver, not just because of his driving skill, but actually his work ethic that he has working with the engineers to get the best out of the car. And that's something that Sebastian does very well. So actually, to have these two guys on track at the same time is going to be absolutely awesome.
And we see such a mutual respect between the drivers of the disciplines. When Nico Hülkenberg won Le Mans this year, you just saw a sort of a professional envy, if you like, from the other drivers in F1 who are desperate to get out there in a Le Mans car. There is just a mutual respect across all the disciplines.
Yeah, and I'm glad we've heard that from the other drivers with Nico, because there was a time that a lot of drivers in Formula One didn't want to do the 24 hours of law, but now with Nico doing that, that's allowed that, and of course Tom is an absolute master of that race.
Great stuff. Right, let's get to it. I've crossed to our commentary team.
Tunnel underneath, accelerating at a speed that she couldn't even possibly have imagined was going to happen. And the same thing with Tom Christensen's passenger. he would have been trying to warm the tyres up as much as possible.
You feel like a rag doll in that situation, your head just bobbling forward and back, you've got no control of it whatsoever. If you ever get the chance to get in a Radical as a passenger or any of these vehicles, do it, because it is the ride of your life. Fantastic experience.
Here we go for the final of the Race of Champions, a best of three. Sebastian Vettel closest to the wall and closest to the camera, Tom Christensen. Two absolute legends of their particular disciplines, a 9-time Le Mans winner and a 4-time Formula 1 world champion.
They are gunning for it here. Remember, they will need to do another evolution of this circuit before we know who is in the lead, who's got the edge over this. Vettel is really desperate for his first Champion of Champions title. Christensen also wants it though. So where are we? As they come around to cross the line for the first time.
Oh, Vettel's got a narrow lead, maybe 2 tenths, maybe a little under. Christensen needs to find a bit more pace. And this is what, big slide from Vettel. Mistake on the second lap, and that might just allow Christensen back in. Vettel's had a couple of those where the car has just drifted a little wider than he wanted. Looking at him now, halfway round the second lap.
So they come towards that final long turn. The advantage is too tight to call. Who's going to get this? It looks like it's Vettel.
Vettel has got it. He didn't give enough away. It's again about 3 tenths, half a second, in fact, the margin of victory. So 1-0 to Sebastian Vettel, and this is looking mighty impressive. Vettel meanders off into the infield to meander as they go back to change cars.
Yeah, they'll make their way out, they'll go back to the paddock, their next car will be waiting for them. So Vettel waves to the crowd, a high five for his racing buddy there, and off they go to try and get themselves into the next car.
Well, down below us, all the Radical guys, you can just see them in the left of the picture running down the stairwell. They've just been out on the platform watching the action. Now they go back down to rescue the cars.
And Christensen will have to gather himself after that loss. He'll have to find a bit more form. Hopefully he'll get in a car that suits him a little better, that he can be taking the advantage in, and that he can push Vettel all the way in.
Well, the problem.
Okay, let's hear from the defeated semi-finalist Al Buncombe. He is with Craig Slater.
Yeah, thank you very much. An interested spectator. I'm sure you wanted to be out there yourself, but Vettel seems to have had the bit between his teeth this evening. Do you see Tom coming back to stop him over this next race?
Well, you know, having just been against Tom in the in the same car, in the Radical there, he should be pretty fresh to go up against Seb. But it looked like that first round he had the pace on him. So Seb's been awesomely fast all day, and yeah, it's going to go down to the wire for sure.
The change of car, though, is significant at this point. How difficult is it to get out of one car and get in another and immediately be effective?
It's really tricky, that is what it's all about here at the ROC. You've got to get out of your Radical and get straight into your road car, Merc SLS, and that is the hardest thing, to be able to adapt, and I've done quite well here. I didn't expect to get through to the semis, there's some serious guys here, as we know, and yeah, it's been a real pleasure, to be involved with the whole event.
Drying track, it's getting colder and colder. There was this discussion yesterday whether the inside starting point was better than the outside one. Key factors in terms of the conditions are what?
Not really. It's us as drivers, we've always thought the inside's better because you've got a shorter run to the first corner, whereas off the line, if you're on the outside to start, then you've got a little bit of a disadvantage because you've got a longer bit to the first corner and you can't quite carry the speed into the first corner, whereas if you're on the inside line, you're slow anyway because it's a real tight hairpin. So the inside's been the start position of all the guys out there, and yeah, I've been on the outside every time. I've won all my ones apart from the one there with Tom, and I started on the outside for that one. But yeah, it's going to be great to watch this final night between Tom and Seb. So let's go and watch.
Does it cap things finally? If someone with the stature of Sebastian, they're both great champions, of course, but if he were to win this, I suppose it elevates the whole event.
Absolutely, and I'd like to see Tom win because at the end of the day he just beat me. So no, it'd be great for Tom. He's an awesome guy, and what a legend, and it's a real pleasure to be able to race against him. So
well driven tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys. Cheers.
Champions. So Technically, possibly, it might favour Sebastian just a fraction, but at this level, I'm not sure it really makes that much difference. It's a different track, the conditions are different, you know, they're just going to take it as it comes now.
It's like a beast, they've been caged into that cockpit. That is Fredrik Johnson, one of the people responsible for the Race of the Champions. This is his baby, and he will be looking forward to watching this race unfold. Will it be Vettel? Will it be Christensen?
First Race of Champions back in 1988 was run at Montlhéry in Paris, the former banked racetrack, or still currently banked, former racetrack. That was won by Juha Kankkunen, and it was basically an all-rally driver event. It was conceived by Michel Mouton and Fredrik Johnson, and since then has run, with one exception, every year, bringing together drivers from a host of disciplines, drivers and riders, because although Jorge Lorenzo isn't with us this season, we have had many motorcycle racers competing, and of course Mick Doohan, a man who has spent his life winning on two wheels, has been in the field this weekend as well.
Yeah, we say get well soon to Jorge Lorenzo, the champion of MotoGP, managed to burn himself, second-degree burns while celebrating his MotoGP victory. Couldn't be here. That's why we saw Bradley Philbott taking part this weekend.
Stay away from the Sambuca, that's all I'm saying. That's just, you know, okay.
I thought you'd already got one lined up for me. That's harsh.
I'm not here, not lighting it.
Christensen has it all to do in this second heat of the final of the Race of Champions. He needs to beat Vettel if he's to challenge for the championship.
If it goes to a third and deciding leg, that will be in the KTM cross-pose. But Sebastian Vettel one up, and those steely blue eyes. Well, which blue-eyed boy is going to win this one? Is it going to be Vettel, or is it going to be Christensen?
Might have a problem with his car. He's not up on the line yet, so Vettel might be looking at that light for all he wants, but they reckon there's a problem with Christensen's car. Chief Stewart is on the ground just looking underneath to try and work out if this has gone technical. We will have a pause in play. Both drivers will go back to the paddock and swap into a different car. Christensen looking up. What is the problem? He's saying it no going.
It's transmission shunt. I mean, he's got it into gear, but it looks like it's either he's got no clutch or he's got no gear.
Either way, that's a problem. He's asking if they can swap cars, so we might see them come off track.
Well, the crossbows are sitting ready and waiting for a third and deciding round, so that could well go that way. However, if it then goes to a third round, I imagine they will go back to the ROC buggies. Yeah, we're hearing that it is an engine problem for Tom Christensen. Our start line marshal there in her gilet, reporting back to race control.
So he's going to go round for another lap, and he looks like he's going to come in. We're getting a very large signal there. So let's see if, yeah, he goes straight across, cuts through the centre. They'll move the barrier for him. They haven't quite done that yet, but as soon as they can, they'll move the barrier. He'll go round into the paddock. They're just trying to explain the situation to Sebastian Vettel and keep him in the loop, and I think he will probably come in too.
It's, yes, looks like it. Fredrik's going to explain everything firsthand. So Seb being pushed away as well, gingering his clutch because he doesn't want it to burn out before he gets it into racing action.
Ah, so you can see that actually that was when Vettel came out. He did lose a little bit of fluid to his car, I thought, but maybe that was the problem for Christensen, and it just highlighted it when Vettel came out. Either way, fluid on a track when it is bone dry out there means somebody has a problem with the car, and seeing as Christensen was the one to not go, I'm guessing that's going to be a fluid leak of some sort.
Yeah, but that is down on Sebastian Vettel's side of the track.
And they both come out that way, I suppose.
And in fact, it has been laid all the way down from the tunnel to the start line. And does it go all the way around the track?
It's a misfire.
Even if it does, a misfire. I think that might have been from Vettel's car. I have a feeling it laid down some fluid when he came out.
Yeah, so I think Vettel's was losing, I don't know, not being able to smell it, whether it was transmission fluid or whether it was engine oil.
Maybe it was the banana juice that we were talking about. He wanted to lay a banana down on track and he did it.
Now the conspiracy theorists amongst us will think Tom's been up to old tricks there. because you know that Seb would have loved to go ahead in that ROC car.
Yeah, I think almost Tom knew because he went up to him and said, sorry.
Sorry about that. Sorry, but changing cars.
Yeah, exactly. So now going to go over to the KTM, the Crossbow, and very different, sort of got a carbon fibres monocoque effectively. It's got a real stiff gearbox in it as well, which is quite hard to change. Very slow on that gear change. And again, it doesn't slide anywhere near the buggy, which is what Sebastian likes. So maybe it's going to slightly move towards Tom on that respect. But maybe that just means they're going to be even Stevens going into this one.
Well, it will need to after the first race. Good start from Sebastian Vettel, and Tom just going over the curbs. They're losing a bit of time.
Yeah, and that's the problem with that Radical, because it's quite a stiff chassis and even the suspension's quite stiff. You go over that curb, he had to back out massively, then he didn't have the drive, which possibly would have got him actually maybe to have won that round. But that's where the buggy would have been actually better in that situation for Tom. But now they're in the middle of the road with this KTM. It's probably not soft like a buggy, but it's not stiff like the Radical. So actually, it's going to be another type of test. Again, with the track that is still probably going to be changing even from when they've driven off the track to when they actually go back on again.
Absolutely. Lots of adapting required. Right, let's hear from Andy Priaulx.
Andy, you've probably done more laps around this track than anyone, given that pretty much all of your races have gone to qualifiers, to deciders. What's it been like out there?
Today's been tough. Yesterday was constant, the conditions were great and the track was improving. Today is very changeable, and also with the change of cars, you've got a lot of unknowns. It's really tough, going into these races now. I mean, they've just switched to a buggy. It's going to be really, really tough. Got to push hard, you can't leave anything on the table. So these guys have got got to try really hard. And I saw that last race with Seb and Tom, and you could see Seb was really squeezing it. So it doesn't look mega quick from out here, but when you're in the car, it feels quick around here. So they got a lot of work to do.
And you're coming away from the weekend with the ROC Nations Cup. Great to get that in front of a home crowd as well.
Oh, listen, this has been fantastic with the guys here, and yesterday to win the Nations Cup meant a lot to me. I mean, I've been in the final 3 times. This time we won it, and it's a great honour to come here to the Olympic Stadium and drive with Racer Champions. What more could we ask for against these great drivers?
Well, 2 of the great drivers about to start their second race now. Vettel's 1 up. Who are you backing for the win?
Well, I think, they're in the KTM Expo. I think Tom could squeeze a result out of this. I think ultimately Seb will probably steal it. He looked very, very quick in the buggy earlier on. He was very quick in the Radical. But do not ever underestimate Tom Christensen. He is proper sharp. He may be retired, but he still wants to win races.
Okay, you heard it here first. Thanks a lot, Andy.
Okay, well, thanks.
He's 48, but he's still got it, is what he's saying.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, he has. Even at 51, you can still have it.
You're not 51, are you?
Yeah, sadly. Damn.
Let's talk about the fact that with passengers this time, how much a difference that made? I mean, I don't know if you spotted this, but Sebastian Vettel's passenger wasn't small.
I think you can see with the belts there was a bit of a difference. Yeah, and that'd be typical something that they'd be looking at. Sebastian would be looking and sort of going, I need someone small. I know it's been brought up already, but again, he's just going to say, well, that's what I've got. Now I've got to deal with it, and he'll be able to do that. And I think, like Andy said there, I think it will help definitely Tom be a little bit closer. Now, if he does get this win, then there's obviously going to be that sort of final race. Now, does that mean it goes back to the buggies, where Sebastian is going to be the happier chap of the 2?
We will see. And just how difficult do you think it is for these drivers to adapt between the vehicles, particularly at very short notice like they just have?
Yeah, but there's so much adrenaline going through your body that it's not really a problem. You're just absolutely wanting to get inside the car and absolutely thrash it to death when you actually get on the track. And that's exactly what they do in each car they get. There's a different style, but you have to adapt to that style. They've done practice, so they know exactly what this Expo will be handling like.
Okay, I think we can hear from Craig Slater live.
Yes, I just thought we'd bring you these images because this delay really has ramped up the tension, and you do wonder whether Sebastian Vettel, who's in the thick of of championship contention, still very much at the front line of Formula One, is maybe letting his competitive juices ramp up a little bit compared to Tom Christensen, who we have to remember has retired from motorsport formally. He is now an Audi ambassador, but yeah, look at the game face on Vettel. It's almost as though he's sitting there before a qualifying session where he goes into that little meditative stare of his. He has his eyes closed for the last minute or so, but now he's getting things together. Christensen on the other side of the track, I'm sure would dearly love to win this event as well again. It has been a wonderful occasion, hasn't it, over 2 days. Andy Prio, a standout yesterday as England won the Nations Cup and looked like the man to beat, but Vettel just has been ultra calm and ultra focused, not conducting too many interviews compared to many of the other drivers, maybe sitting on his own, keeping his own counsel, and you just get the sense that after a season when he has had to fight to get Ferrari back to the front of the field, that he knows what it's like to win again after that disappointing season in 2014, and here he is now. All right, it's the race of champions, it's rather a kind of festival of motorsport rather than serious competition, but you know, you would desperately love to win this, you just get that sense. But yeah, a real air of tension here, extremely cold the conditions are, and the car's being held here a long time. You wonder how technically that will affect things as well, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's a real crackling atmosphere down here.
So Craig, what's the look of their passengers, because that's going to be pretty key as well. Who looks as if they've got the smaller passenger in there?
Yes, they do, don't they? I'm afraid I can't quite discern exactly who are in the respective cars. I know Eric Boulier's wife was due to be in one of the semi-final cars as they set off now. It may be that she is actually with Tom Christensen. Let's put it this way, they're not saying too much. There isn't much small talk going on between the two drivers as they head off now. I think those passengers are going to keep their counsel, keep quiet, and let these two star names do battle without any distraction in these next 5 minutes or so.
Many thanks, Craig. And I can tell you that if it is Tamara Boulier in Christensen's car, then Tom's the winner. She's tiny.
Tiny,
compared
absolutely.
to Vettel's passenger. Andy Prio alluded to it earlier, these changeable conditions. I mean, and the changing of the cars. It is quite crucial to keep momentum up if you're going to keep the pace up and ultimately keep winning, isn't it?
Sure, but keeping momentum up when you've sort of got a track that's pretty consistent is one thing, but when it's changing all the time, it's something you've got to keep learning and keep pushing the limits, and you haven't got to go to a point where you go over the top, because obviously you're going to hit the side of the barrier. But that's what the skill factor comes into play, and I think that's what's really testing, if it be in a sports car, a touring car, or even a Formula One car. So these guys are sort of used to it, but they're always going to be searching for that extra piece of grip.
Okay, I know we can hear from Nelson Piquet Jr. now.
Nelson, you went out in the quarter-final, your first round, to Tom Christensen, but I guess you feel better knowing that he made it all the way to the final.
Well, not only that, yesterday too was Felipe. We got knocked out by Andy and Plato. Both of them went to the final and ended up winning the whole event. So yeah, and again today, starting was one of the best. So it was a tough one. Yesterday we didn't get much running because we got kicked out of in the first round. So, but it's fun. I mean, it's still good to be in such an amazing event. Thank you, Frederick. Thank you, everybody from Race of Champions. It's been a great experience. Was last time I was here was maybe 8 years ago or something. Been a while. So just delighted to see everybody, see a lot of friends, and such a great atmosphere. Everybody's still hanging out, even though we're not racing anymore to the finals. All the drivers still hanging out over here. So it's great to be part of this.
Thanks, Phil.
Welcome.
Okay, Johnny, give us a winner.
I'm still going to go with Seb. I think Seb has just got that little tiny edge.
And what about the tyre temperatures on these expos? We know the ambient temperature is very cold at the moment. You're talking about the lap lane, the lane they choose, as being significant. So, how do you think that will fare?
Well, it's part and parcel of everything. Actually, there's another added thing. You see all the little dust that they've put down there. So actually, there's oil on the track as well. So that's something else they've got to get around at the same time. It's trying to pick a line where you don't get your tyres onto that dust that they've put down, because underneath that is oil, and with oil there is absolutely no grip. But you're right with the tyre temperatures, it's always something that you see it in karting, in touring cars, in Le Mans and even Formula 1, and even under a safety car you're always going to get those tyres up to temperature. They may be road tyres or we tread, but you still need all that temperature to get the grip.
Okay, let's head up to our commentary team.
2 straight races on a track of questionable grip levels. There is the young German, and opposite him the Dane on the far side. Away they go, good launch by both men. That looked a very reassured getaway from Vettel.
Oh, we have a problem for Christensen though. It looks like he's in real trouble there.
Vettel will be the champion, surely. Christensen hit the barriers, it doesn't cause him a time penalty in addition to the time he's lost on the track yet, but he has lost enough time, surely, that only a crash for Sebastian Vettel can change the destiny of this final.
The point while that happens, Christensen wasn't actually on the slippy part of the track, so that was just a fall that happened, and he will pick up a penalty, I believe, for that, a yellow card.
He's got
just a yellow card, no penalty.
So it's a warning, but it's the time that he's lost that is going to be the killer. Sebastian Vettel was comfortably in front at the line. Christensen with a yellow card for exceeding track limits or hitting the barriers. And it may well be that he just picked up some dirt on the tyres long before where it went off.
So Sebastian Vettel rounds the final part of this circuit as he makes his way towards the start-finish line for what could be a historical moment.
Checkered flag is out. It is victory for Sebastian Vettel. He has never left the Race of Champions without a big trophy. This year he has not won the Nations Cup. This year he is the champion of champions. 2-0 victory in the final over Tom Christensen. So Germany for the first time ever have a winner in the individual race in Race of Champions. Christensen is first to the donuts, and Vettel waits his turn to celebrate as well.
Let's hope that their passengers don't feel slightly nauseous at this moment in time, but Sebastian Vettel will be delighted with that. And I think most of the people here at the Olympic Stadium in London will be pleased for the Formula 1 driver. Such a close friend of Michael Schumacher. The man he said he idolised, had pictures up in his room, and I'm sure part of him would have wanted to do that for Michael Schumacher, who obviously is still trying to recover from that horrific accident he had at Christmas of 2013. We wish him very well, and Sebastian Vettel is the new champion of champions.
A lot of understeer took Tom Christensen into the barriers, and unfortunately that was all she wrote. Look, he's got the lock applied and it just rattles along the Tech Pros and then back out on track. Sebastian Vettel certainly knows how to destroy a set of rear tyres, doesn't he?
He's on the top of the car right now in his Ferrari race suit, arms aloft, looking victorious, and the first thing he does is go over to TK and his driving buddy, gives them a big hug. Terry Grant gets a bit of the action as well, and Crofty, come on, track him down, get a word from the man of the moment.
Well, there are your finalists and your ultimate winner.
You're running late on the a straight podium.
You finally made it to a final at the Race of Champions, and you finally made it to the winner's podium as well. Congratulations.
Yeah, it took a while. I've tried many times, but very happy, very happy. Long wait, which is not easy to stay focused. I know it's a lot of fun, but obviously in the moment and when you're in the final, you want to win. So I'm very pleased. Thanks for everyone for coming tonight. I think it's very cold, but it's a great atmosphere. Thank you very much.
You've had a lot of people cheering you all along. You've won with Team Germany, obviously with Michael as well. How does that compare, and how does this compare to winning as a team now, winning for yourself?
Well, I guess I took it maybe a bit easier last night, which was probably wise. But yeah, of course, in the past it was always something special together with Michael. And I think the individual is different because you're not in the team, you just try to do it yourself. So as I said, I tried many times, I failed many times, but finally I succeeded. So I'm very happy, as there has been a lot of top-class racing drivers winning this trophy, so finally I get to put my name on it.
Absolutely, and get to spray some champagne around on the podium. Shall we go and do that?
Yes, definitely.
Sebastian Vettel, ladies and gentlemen, your Race of Champions, champion of champions in 2015.
The first German, but the third Sebastian to win the Champion of Champions.
Attack. That's amazing.
Sebastian Loeb, twice a winner, and the other one was also a French Sebastien, and also a World Rally Champion, Sebastian Ogier. So Sebastian Vettel just becomes the latest Sebastian to win, the fourth Sebastian to win, but the first German. As he said, he came here 6 times previously and left as the Nations Cup champion. He had never previously made the final. This year, Germany defeated in the final of the Nations Cup, and that's a first. But Sebastian Vettel takes the overall Champion of Champions trophy. And Tom Christensen, the runner-up last year. Pascal Verlaine, the runner-up to David Coulthard. Verlaine went out early on in the eliminators, but Coulthard went out in the semi-final to the eventual champion, Sebastian Vettel. And Fredrik Jonsson awards the big one. That is a trophy and a half to Sebastian Vettel. And I imagine that might end up being a drinking receptacle at some stage later on in the evening. I'm just hazarding a guess at that.
Yesterday certainly was put into the back of a coach, strapped in for security, and then became a champagne vestibule. You can see all the ticker tape ribbons coming down, floating down from this fantastic venue for Race of Champions. Well done to Sebastian Vettel and Tom Christensen.
2 big smiles from 2 legends of the sport. Tom Christensen, no disgrace in losing in the final to Sebastian Vettel, our Champion of Champions for 2015. Michel Mouton presenting a trophy as well.
I think that is for the driver of the weekend as voted for by the fans. I'm hoping that that is correct and I'm not giving you misleading information. And you can see that there are streamers absolutely everywhere. Fredrik Jonsson, the founder of this championship, stood next to Sebastian Vettel. Another shake of the hand, a hearty shake of the hand.
Head of marketing from Tag Heuer presenting the winners and the finalists indeed with their watches. And Seb must have racked up a few now with 6 Nations Cup wins.
He needs a very long arm, doesn't he, to wear all of those beautifully crafted watches that he now has in his collection.
Well, he needs a very expensive watch winding machine, doesn't he?
Can you get one of those?
Oh, yeah. You put your watches in and it winds them, because they all, high-class watches need continual winding.
That's amazing. Things you didn't know that you now know. So onto the platform, is that Petter Solberg?
Yep, Petter Solberg comes up to offer his congratulations. The Skills Challenge winner presented by Tag Heuer. So Petter Solberg, the auto test king, if you like, here this weekend, really clean. So many of the drivers, so many of the top drivers, even Sebastian Vettel, had trouble and were clattering the markers on our Skills Challenge course. Petter comes out.
Sebastian Vettel knows the taste of champagne because he has it most weekends at the moment. On the podium a lot in Formula One, but when you get absolutely drenched with it, it's a beautiful thing.
I suspect that will be very cold for Sebastian Vettel, but I also suspect that he won't care because
no,
he
won't
is
care
finally on the 7th time of trying clinch that ultimate title, the Champion of Champions, and you can see just how much it means to him, Johnny Herbert.
Back.
It's back.
Back again.
Nothing back.
I tell you what was interesting, where he said he didn't have a heavy night last night. I know in the past when he was racing with Michael, they had a really, really fun time before they did the single race. So he took it absolutely serious as he normally does. And by doing that, he gave himself that first win finally in 7 years of trying.
Absolutely. Now, Petter Solberg took the Skills Challenge. That's why you saw him up there on the podium as well. Yes, exactly. Slight anticlimax, if you like, that Tom hit the barrier and then went out in such a way, incurred that penalty in the process.
But that's part and parcel of it, isn't it? That's the pressure sometimes that comes into play. We don't really know. We didn't really see a proper shot of it. But that's part and parcel of the game. And you've got to, whenever you've got that opportunity there, you've got to take it by your teeth. And that's exactly what Sebastian did.
Now, talking of teeth, I wonder if Craig Slater's are chattering. Craig, how are you? Sum up what has been a quite phenomenal weekend of racing.
It has. It's been great, and I think a victory here, which is it's heartwarming in a sense that I think the organisers are very pleased to see Sebastian Vettel come out on top, because he has unfailingly supported this event over the years, and it's a popular victory amongst the drivers as well. Vettel, although perhaps he doesn't have the most fans in this country, is very much a nice guy behind the scenes. It's been nice to watch him just socialising with some of the other drivers during the off time between races this evening. He's sought out pretty much all of them. He's not been aloof or standoffish or anything like that, so I think his will be a popular victory tonight, and an emotional one. All the drivers came together before the action on track got started this evening just to have a little moment's pause and reflect on Michael Schumacher's 6 Nations Cup victories alongside Vettel. So for those that say Vettel can only win things in a car which is the class of the field, as they used to say in his Red Bull days, well, he's pulled out 3 victories for Ferrari this season, and now he's capped his year with this. Yes, it's a little bit of a showbiz event, but there are some bragging rights from this in the Formula 1 paddock, so he will take that back to the final Grand Prix of the season in Abu Dhabi. It's been a great evening, lots of movers and shakers within the sport here today. We've seen Susie Wolff hang up her driving gloves for the last time. She didn't really get into this competition. Toto Wolff, her husband, Mercedes head of motorsport, said it was an emotional occasion for him to see her do that. He also looked ahead to the final Grand Prix of the year, where Nico Rosberg will hope to keep up that winning run against Lewis Hamilton. We've also heard from the team principal at Lotus, Gerard Lopez, who says he might well be retained even if Renault finalise their takeover of that team. So lots going on behind the scenes and lots of great action on track, and I don't think anyone can argue that Sebastian Vettel is a deserving winner here.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Craig. Now go inside and get yourself a hot toddy to warm up. It is interesting because Sebastian Vettel, anyone who knows him in Formula 1 knows he's a really great guy. He's a great racer. He's a very private guy off the track. Why don't you think he's more popular? And do you think that will change as his career develops at Ferrari?
Well, I hope it does, because he is a great guy. He's got a great sense of humour. He's always happy. He's smiling around. Okay, it's not a Daniel Ricciardo type smile, but it's always there. He's a great driver. Those 4 World Championships he didn't really get the full respect from everybody else, and it's always okay when you do 1 or 2, but then you do a 3rd, then you have to do a 4th. To have that motivation and drive to be able to do that is absolutely unbelievable, and I think that respect will come, because I think the job he's doing at Ferrari this year has been fantastic, and hopefully they're going to be stronger even next year.
And your final thoughts on this race of champions? I mean, from a purist perspective, it really is taking everything back to basics, isn't it? And looking at the multi-skilled abilities of all these drivers.
Yeah, and the guys like going back to basics. You know, the majority of the drivers now, or probably all of them, to be honest, are from karting, and that is the back to basics that we have. So that a lot of them still go and do that karting experience, even though they're in Formula 1. But having all those variety of cars that are there, it's just fantastic, and they thoroughly enjoy that challenge of driving those particular cars. But okay, again, against all those motorbike racers, rally drivers, touring car racers, and of course their fellow F1 drivers as well, and of course an IndyCar winner as well.
Well, we've absolutely loved watching it. Let's take ourselves back now to Formula 1, because of course we have got one more race this season which you can enjoy from next weekend onwards. 9:15 practice 1 on Friday, followed by 1:45 for practice 2, and the F1 show at 5, and then on Saturday 9:45 for P3 and quali at 12. Track parade from 11:30 on the Sunday, pit lane live from 12, race show from 12:30, and all the reaction from 3:30 at what promises to be a much hotter location than we are now. But Johnny Herbert, thank you very much. Your highlight of the weekend?
I think was that last race. I think to see Sebastian finally achieve it after 7 times, brilliant.
Fantastic stuff. Johnny Herbert, thank you very much indeed.
Good to be with you.
Oh, it's been lovely to have you, Johnny. It's been ice cold temperatures, but red hot racing. We hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for your company. We'll see you next Friday in Abu Dhabi. Bye-bye for now.
Enjoy Sky Sports Live. On all screens, on the go, and the best bits on demand.